This is Student Leadership and Navigator Plugin. Before we get started, let's listen to some Navigator students talking about leadership.
I believe that a good leader is responsible, they take charge, and they lead others in the right direction.
3 steps to being a good leader is good sportsmanship, being nice to others, and always do your best. I believe that a good leader is kind, listens to others, and is respectful. I would like to be a leader because in college a professor might need to step out, and I would like to be the person he would depend on to keep the class focused. And in my future, when I'm older in high school, I'd like to be in the higher level classes because once you walk into them, they're all engaged in their work. I want to be a leader because I want to help others. For example, if someone's at an F, I want to be the person that gets them to an A. I would like to be a leader because I can make a big change in the world.
The objectives for this plugin are organize students in groups of 3 based on current class roster, and then assign leaders to their groups. Let's see it during an ELA class. When you watch this video, look for how does this differ from a typical classroom, and how are students supporting each other?
Okay, so for my homework, I put the encounter with the wolves creates the theme of one for all and all for one, because when Bilbo couldn't climb the tree to get away from the wolves, Dory helped him. The text states Dory actually climbed out of the tree and let Bilbo scramble up and stand on his back. This supports the theme because one for all and all for one means all members of the group support each other, each of the individual members.
Did you guys make a schedule?
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, good. Discussion? Okay.
I say glow with you, like hit on the raise, like restate, answer, recite, and explain, and the row is to, do you write a page number?
No, because it was in the question.
Okay, but next, because there's 2 pages, so maybe next time I'd like a specific.
Okay.
I agree with Natalie because I feel like for race, it's citation, so you should put a citation to support your answer.
Okay.
Okay. I would give you. Well, Natalie, what would you think? Like, what's your opinion? What's I would probably give you a 2, but then if you like fix it next time, you can get a 3 your score.
Please pause this video to reflect on these questions, either aloud with a group or silently by yourself. Now that you've reflected, we can see that this is not a typical classroom. Students are giving glows and grows on a student's work. They are evaluating it and discussing how it could be improved. Students are supporting each other by listening closely and stating what they liked about the written response, and also giving advice on how to make it even better. What great teamwork. Now let's see an example in math. When you watch this video, look for how does grouping students with a leader promote independence and self-guidance, and how are students supporting each other?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. Alright, so now we have our number of hours. So what is our equation again, Marcel?
Equation is y equals 12x minus 3.
Minus what?
Minus 1.
Oh, sorry, I hate it. Okay.
So then it would be
How would you find how many dollars she earned for 3 hours?
So it's $12 per hour, so you have to do 12 times 3.
Is that it?
minus 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
subtract that 4, okay? Don't forget about that. That can really mess you up. What's 12 times 3?
36.
36 minus 4?
32. Yeah.
So how much does he earn for 3 hours?
32 dollars.
Please pause this video to reflect on these questions, either aloud with a group or silently by yourself. Now that you've reflected, we can see that a small group works well because it allows for all students to participate and be deeply involved in the lesson. The leader makes sure to call on all students in the group and make sure they are all following along. Students are supporting each other by correcting each other's responses and working collaboratively to answer the question correctly. Let's watch one more example of a leader taking charge. When you watch this video, think about how are students taking ownership of their learning.
Class?
Yes, yes.
So I need the squad leaders to pay attention. On our spreadsheet where it says family hero paragraph, there's a spot that says conclusion, follow the prompts. I need you guys to enter a 1, 2, or 3, depending on how good your student followed the prompts today on the conclusion, okay? Good. Okay, I need it entered by the end of class. You guys have 15 minutes, alright?
Do we grade ourselves?
Yeah, you can grade yourself, sir. We'll actually have your group grade it for you.
Please pause this video to reflect on this question, either aloud with the group or silently by yourself. Now that you've had a chance to reflect, we can see that the group leader is keeping all other student leaders accountable for their peer edits and grading. It is clear that students are fully engaged in running their classroom and keeping their classmates on track for success. Now it's time for a written reflection. Pause this video to write down your thoughts from the See It videos. How are students supporting others? And how does grouping students with a leader promote independence and self-guidance? If you are with a group of people, please pause the video and share your written reflection with each other. Now that you've reflected, hopefully you notice that students work together toward a common goal. They support each other if they need help or guidance. This promotes teamwork. The leader also helps keep the group on track, and students are in charge of their own learning instead of the teacher pushing them. So we've come to our core idea. The Student Leadership plugin builds teamwork and collaboration. It also promotes self-guidance and independence, and it pushes students to take responsibility for their own learning. So why is this important? Discuss with a group or silently reflect. This is important because collaboration and communication is one of the top skills looked for when being hired. Self-guidance and independence is needed for college and careers. These are skills needed as students grow older. Take a minute to write down any key takeaways from the core idea. Now it's your turn. Please refer to the image provided. Participants will use a current class roster to place students into groups of 3, one student being the leader. If you have students who you think are ready, start placing students as a captain who oversees 2 to 3 groups. Please pause this video as you put your groups together. After groups have been made and leaders have been chosen, write a script of how you will train your leaders. For example, what are your expectations for your leaders? What should the leaders' expectations be for their group? Or how will they report to you if there are any issues? Please pause this video as you write your script. If you are with a group of people, please share your scripts with one another. Here is an example of leader expectations. Based on the roster to the right, I would pull Jaylene, Gonzalo, Noah, Violet, Angie, Hudson, and Clarabelle to talk about expectations since they were the chosen group leaders. I would discuss what I expect to see from them, such as keeping students on task, calling on all students to participate, asking probing questions to make students think, and guiding the discussion in the right direction depending on what we are working on that day. I would also talk to them about what they should expect to see from their own groups, such as students taking notes, using complete sentences when they answer a question, and actively participating. Please pause this video to write down any key takeaways. And our final reflection. How will this affect your classroom? And how will this impact your students? Please pause this video. Thank you for learning about our Student Leadership plugin.